Alright guys, what's going on? So this whole month I've kind of just been reviewing the Harry Potter movies here on my channel. And I've done the first three movies, but now we're kind of at a turning point in this franchise where you kind of see it creep into darkness a little bit. So let's talk about it. There's a couple of the Harry Potter films that I've seen so many times. I know them front and back, all the way through what's gonna happen from the beginning to the end. And the thing about this one is it's the first one not to open with the Dursleys, and we're with the Weasleys, so all the fun that comes with that. And you have this big Quidditch tournament. Well, actually, the film opens with a guy, and then Voldemort hears him, and it's just so amazing how they bring in this. I don't want to say new director. I think it's the same as Prisoner of Azkaban, and this is where it becomes PG-13, the first one in the series of Harry Potter, and the main story is just such a different story than the first three, because if there's a couple problems I have with the first three is it's so repetitive. It's like there's a plan to kill Harry, there's a little Quidditch match in there, and I know this one has all that stuff in it, but it just feels different to me. It feels like the next step. I mean, it still kind of feels like they're like, well, should I do this? What works? Does this work? Does that work? But they have a better idea that from the first three, now we're moving into some darkness. We gotta set up Voldemort, so let's see how we can make that work. And they're experimenting with Voldemort. They're experiencing with new characters. Cedric Diggory, who's fantastic, by the way, but spoiler, don't get too attached to him. And the way his death's analyzed, and Harry is getting older, and that Hermione dress scene where she's walking down, you realize these characters are getting older that you've grown up to watch through all the other films. And you watch and you're like, holy crap, they're growing up. And that's what I love about this film, that it's sad in a way to see, okay, all of my characters that I've watched through a couple movies, and you see them grow up and you're like, holy crap, as I just said. And it just has a certain feeling to it. Every Harry Potter movie has a feeling. I've said this before, I'll say it again. When you turn on a Harry Potter movie, you know the tone that it's going to be. With Prisoner of Azkaban getting a little darker, but this one goes full dark, especially with the opening scene where I'm getting goosebumps. I'm like, is there going to be a jump scare? Because I don't like jump scares. And I'm like, okay, so this is what we're going with this one. I mean, Voldemort is in this one a lot, so they build up his character. Not to say that he's in it a ton, but I think he's in this one more than the other ones leading up to Deathly Hallows Part 1. And it is cool just to kind of get your... This is where you get your first glimpse at the actual Voldemort. Not that weird crap in the first one where he's on someone's head. Or, I mean, don't get me wrong, I really like teenage Tom Riddle. That was one of my favorite parts of Chamber of Secrets. But you get to see Voldemort, I almost said Tom Riddle, Voldemort as Voldemort. The Voldemort that's in the books. The Voldemort that when anyone says his name, you're like, holy crap, isn't that the weird nose guy? So, you finally get to see the weird nose chill of Voldemort, the guy. And I haven't read this book, I'm going to be honest with you. I have the book. I mean, I guess I've glanced over it, but truthfully, not even that, really. But the Goblet of Fire is the thing that releases it. The plot is all about the Triwizard Tournament, and okay, there's 3 people about to go into the Triwizard Tournament, hence the word try, and all the fun that comes with it, and no one under a certain age can be in. But then somehow Harry's name gets in, and there were already 3 people picked, so that never works for me. It's like, they don't do a good enough job explaining why Harry's name's popping out of the Goblet of Fire. But then that Professor Moody snuck his name in, but it really wasn't Professor Moody. And by the way, Professor Moody is just a fantastic character. I have a ton of fun just watching him through all the movies. And I couldn't really figure out clearly at the end where they reveal that it was a different guy playing him the whole time. Or someone impostoring the Moody we all know and love, I guess, some of us. But this is a turning point, right? Where you have to set all this up and then you have to build on everything in the previous movies. There's a little bit of Sirius Black in there in a fireplace, which kind of, that scene was always a little weird for me. And then you gotta set up Voldemort. You gotta set up the relationship between Harry and Dumbledore even more. You have to set up that Harry could be turning dark, that Harry has this anger in him. And you just feel this fiery sense in you where you're like, wait, where Harry's screaming at the end when Cedric dies, when Harry sees Voldemort. You see all these characters have such a turning point, and then Ron avoiding him. You see teenagers. This movie is obviously magical, but I'm a teenager myself, so I know, trust me, it captures the magic of teens and how they act in the real world, which is something just so fantastic that I don't think enough films, I would say today, but really ever have captured it the way this franchise is, and I think that's why it could appeal to all ages. But thank you so much for watching. That's my take on the Goblet of Fire. Order of the Phoenix, which is probably my favorite Harry Potter movie. I just absolutely love that, and I just love like wanting to punch my TV with Dolores Umbridge. But that's the next video, so have a good day.